Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. The ABV Barrel Shop is focused on one thing, single barrels. Best of all, you can try before you buy. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution so you know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and who from the industry may be coming in to visit. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. We are also sponsored by the Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers traveling minibars that are no bigger than a small purse or toiletry bag. Best of all, they are fully customizable so you can create the perfect piece that is unique for you. If you own your own business, what a fun and unique way to promote what you do. Check them out online at thebar2go.com. That is the number 2 in the Bar to Go. If you have wholesale questions, call my friend Isabel Clark at 504-481-1297. Finally, we are sponsored by the Neely Family Distillery. NFD is a family-owned business that keeps ringing up awards in the spirits world. Head to Sparta, Kentucky to experience the family history, award-winning spirits, and meet the Neely family. Check them out online at neelyfamilydistillery.com. Now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we look 25 years into the future to talk about where we think bourbon might go. My name is Miss Beka Sue. Please join me in welcoming my co-host Steve Akeley, as well as our special guests, Bo Cumberland, Jim Gokin, and Wes Harden.
Hey gang, what's up?
Howdy.
Hello.
Hey. Heyo. So yeah, we're going to try to figure out the future, what bourbon's going to look like 25 years down the road. That's a long time. That's a long forecast, but we're gonna see what we come up with. So it should be interesting and fun. We'll get to that after the break. For right now, Beka said there's something she wanted to talk about. What is that, Beka?
So, not everyone, but quite a good majority of people nowadays do have some sort of robot in their home. Generally, a robot vacuum is,
very
I think,
popular.
the most normal robot to have at home. Some people have other stuff like the little robots that you can have like on your desk. There's different types of robots you can have in your house.
Sure.
But I want to know how far you guys would take it. Would you have a robot that is looks like a normal person or a full-size being walking around, taking care of things in your house, maybe a driving car? That's a robot, right?
Sure.
How far would you guys take it with robots if it's up to you? There might be some things that maybe we end up not having a decision on. Who knows? We'll have robot overlords eventually. We don't know. But I want to know how far you personally would take it. And I also want to know, are you nice to your robots?
Okay. Are you nice
No
to your
further than it is right now with a robot vac.
Okay.
I'm in IT. My work is heavily into AI and the GPT stuff, and I'm totally against it. I'm a sci-fi guy and an IT guy both, and I don't like. I mean, these people have obviously not watched T2. They don't see that the machines are taking over. Okay. I don't want any of that stuff anywhere near me.
Right.
I want to drive my own car. I don't trust anybody else.
Really? Well, yeah, you got a driving thing going on, so.
Yeah.
Do you find it necessary to be nice to robots?
I'm very nice to Benson.
What's Benson?
Benson is he's my vacuum.
Your vacuum, okay.
Yeah, I clean him once a week.
Got to clean. That's the one thing people forget, that you got to clean your robot vacuum.
Oh yeah. Sing to him while you do it too.
I just put a new battery in him because he stopped being able to get out on one charge and do the living room and kitchen and hallway. Yeah. 5 years I've had this guy.
Poor guy.
Very convenient.
Poor little bugger. All right. Wes, how about you, man?
I don't know that I have a robot. I mean, to me, the word, I know like Roombas or whatever are technically robots. You turn them on and they go by themselves, but they're not really advanced. I mean, their whole basis is going in a straight line until they run into something, and they spin around and change direction, and they do it again until they hit something. So that's not exactly a super high intelligence. I'm not worried about my Roomba
taking over,
taking my dog out or doing anything
Sure.
like that. So, but I'm also not opposed to some sort of like
robot girlfriend.
robot robot humanoid. Where's a maid outfit? Maybe
Rosie.
Mr. J.
It cleans the house. And I don't know. I don't. I'm kind of with Gokin. Like, if you don't, we've had this discussion on way back when, a similar discussion about. I don't believe that the humans are so creative that they just came up with everything that they came up with in Hollywood as far as futuristic movies. I think that there's some real like basis for some of that stuff. So I don't know. I've seen those videos of. I think the U.S. is, with all of our regulation, we've done a pretty good job of keeping it somewhat under wraps. But like some of those uncontrolled countries, like China, Korea, places like that, they built like these legit robots. And they've like in the factory, they've like mauled workers, and so they have. I mean, it's out there. They've mauled workers. It's not a good thing. I've seen Terminator movies. I've seen
Okay.
all of those things.
What about Star Wars? They were nice in there. R2, he was a cute little guy. He was a cute little guy.
Yeah, but also in Star Wars, they were only reliant on the robots to do minuscule things. They weren't like their servants, for instance. They were more like companions. It's a different thing. Now, I do like the idea of having a robot that if I'm out somewhere and someone decides to start something, they could just fuck somebody up.
Sure.
I don't have to do anything.
Like the Fred Minnick jiu-jitsu robot.
Yeah, exactly. He whips out his gi.
Right.
And turns on his camera. And he's like, "Who wants to roll, bitches?" And then there he goes.
Right.
And then he puts.
Does he still have the ascot with the gi?
I
don't know. I don't pay that much attention.
I don't mean,
like a dress. I mean, guess if it's a dress gi, if he's going out, like if he's going to Walgreens, he probably would need to be dressed up.
He only goes to Walgreens in his gi when he's sweaty and been rolling around with another guy. So. Why he's going to Walgreens, I don't know after all that.
Yeah, those guys are. Did you see in China? I think they're Tai Chi. I don't know that for sure, but whatever like their official thing is, like Jiu-Jitsu is Brazil. But so whatever it is in China, I guess their number one master, the guy who's most beloved and kind of is the guy who does all this stuff. And he has videos of him just hitting a stone in just a certain way and then breaking through like 10 of them or something like that. He's a super power guy, and then they put him in a fight with a MMA guy. And from China, so fellow countrymen, the MMA guy fucking wiped the floor with that guy, and he had to go into hiding. They want to kill him in China because that's like their national thing. That guy will never be seen again. Either he's in hiding or the government came and got him. They plucked him, and he's gone.
In the fighting world, jack of all trades will pretty much always beat master of one.
Right?
Like because there's always like if you're a stand-up fighter, the jiu-jitsu guys will just grab you, throw you on the ground, and freaking choke you out. Mm-hmm. If you're a jiu-jitsu guy, as long as someone can keep their distance, one or two punches take those guys down because they're not used to. It's like there's just like this whole thing that goes on. But yeah, there's all kinds of like the best karate guy goes up against. There was that movie was it Jean-Claude Van Damme, the Kumite, where all those different fighter styles. It's back from the 80s.
Bloodsport. It's fantastic.
Bloodsport. It is. It's very cheesy, but very fantastic. But it's the same type of thing. You get like the wrong kind of like matchup kind of deal, and it doesn't matter if you're the best in Brazil or China or wherever. Somebody else can always fuck you up.
Right. Bo, how about you? What do you want to talk about?
I definitely am up for robots doing anything that they want that I don't have to do.
Anything they want. I'm going to be sitting here on my back. Whatever happens, that's on you, robot.
Bo is the first human that will go into servitude to the robots. Right. He's patient zero.
The question of whether I'm nice to them, yes, because it's kind of like that weird kid in school I'm always nice to them. So when they turn into like the school shooter, they
Right.
Oh,
They
they'll
pass
save
you.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have any robots in my life. I'm not really a technology guy, so I got nothing. And I think they're creepy. The ones that they like, you see those things in Japan and stuff like that, where they create them where they look like people. They look creepy, and they're like, oh, look how lifelike. No, they look how creepy lifelike they look.
Hello, Steve.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Hello, Steve.
So I'm not technology savvy enough to get intermixed with the robots. So would I be nice to them? Sure, I don't, but I don't really interact with them. We don't even have a Roomba. I don't think we had one, and it never really worked how we wanted it to.
A
And
piece
I
of shit.
think we just abandoned it. It may still be in the house. I'm not sure, but so maybe there's a Roomba in here around
It's
here.
plotting to kill you.
Abandonment
probably
is a
is.
form
If you ever
of
let it out,
cruelty,
you're done.
Steve.
Yeah, it's probably
It's plotting to kill you. If you ever let it out, you're toast.
right, right. Well, what about you, Becca? You asked the question.
I mean, just judging by the looks of the room, I'll probably be alive longer than everyone here.
Ow.
That has nothing to do with robots.
I
That's
hope a
just
robot
overall
can-
health and age.
Hey, I
hope
just
a
said I
robot
was
can-
nice. Hey, I'm going to be nice to robots. I didn't say anything about humans. But I'll probably see more of this stuff than anyone else will sitting down anyways with us right now. And I mean, I you know, how when I was just young, like, and you know, like I never thought I'd have a cell phone just in my hand all the time. I didn't think I'd be on the internet being able to talk to people all the time. You know, there's all these things that we don't expect, and we're like, I would never do that. No, absolutely not. What do you mean? No, there's no way. But then, you know, things advance and things change. And so, I mean, I would say no, I don't think that I'd have a robot in my house cleaning, but maybe I would. I don't like to dust all that much. So maybe I would have a robot that would do those things. I don't know, like the self-driving cars really freak me out, but I'd imagine 25 years from now that those should be pretty advanced by then. Right now they kind of suck. I think they still, you know, run people over on occasion.
They do okay, but yeah, when they make a mistake, it's bad.
when they're doing well, they're doing great, but when they do bad, you know, people die.
Right.
So, you know, maybe in the future I would have one of those. Right now, absolutely not. But yeah, always be nice to robots. That's whatever someone tells, like just the Alexa, like, hey Alexa, fuck off. I'm like, whoa there, buddy. Alexa's gonna be running the world here soon. You should probably be nice to Alexa and not tell her to fuck off when you want her to shut up.
There you go. On that note, guess what, gang? It's time to drink. What is everyone drinking? Let's start with Becca this time. Becca, what do you got there?
I have got some Hidden Barn. This is the maple syrup finish, single barrel.
That's solid. Solid. Could be enough. Was better than anything we had on the last show, but we can't go back and give her a victory for that. So we'll go from there. Wes, what do you got?
I've got another screw top. I've got the old discontinued Heaven Hill 6-year bottle.
Okay. Gokin, you look like you're ready.
Yeah, I've got the J. Henry. This is straight bourbon whiskey from Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. Okay. Quiet.
That's pretty good.
Quiet. It was
not as
good as
here.
Becca's. Thunderous.
Thunderous.
That's overstating it. So, yeah. All right, Bo, what do you got?
I'm gonna go with the old Jet Brothers, finished in Neely family Kentucky brandy barrels.
Okay. No, nothing there. Nothing there. Becca's got the lead. I'm last but not least. I've got Booker's here, the tag-along batch. Let's see what we got here. Nah, nothing there. Becca takes it. Becca wins.
Oh yeah.
Congrats to you, Becca. Cheers.
Cheers to robot.
Cheers.
All right, we'll take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about what will bourbon look like in 2050. We'll do that in just a few. Okay, let's talk about the people that make these shows happen. First up is the Stave and Thief Society. Via their in-person class at Moonshine University in Louisville, Kentucky, the Stave and Thief Society is the place where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge an executive bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my executive bourbon steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Speaking of Executive Bourbon Steward certification, the ABV Barrel Shop in St. Louis, Missouri has developed a unique partnership with the Stave and Thief Society to offer a preparatory class to assist you in getting your Executive Bourbon Steward certification. This prep class costs only $25 and is available to take live or online via Zoom. Graduates of our class receive a coupon code good for 15% off your Executive Bourbon Steward certification held in Louisville, Kentucky. This saves you almost $90. Additionally, you can collaborate with fellow attendees to split travel costs when you go to Louisville. If you're interested in signing up for the class, simply head over to abvbarrelshop.com and check out the classes and events page. Last but not least, we are sponsored by Neely Family Distillery. Royce Neely is the 11th generation distiller in one of America's oldest distilling families. A visit to Neely Family Distillery takes you through family history, where you can see all the artifacts and newspaper clippings through the years from this family that started distilling in America after James Neely arrived from Northern Ireland in 1740. Today, Royce Neely and his team are crafting some of the best spirits in America. Their bourbon and absinthe offerings keep winning top honors in the spirits competitions. Recently, their absinthe made history as the first platinum winner in the absinthe category at the San Francisco Spirits Competition. Neely Family Distillery is definitely a bucket list destination if you are a bourbon fan. Learn more about their spirit offerings, visiting their facility, and the awards they have collected over at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com. And now, back to the show.
Hello, this is Jeff from Iowa, and you're listening to The Bourbon Daily.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're talking about what bourbon will look like in 2050.
Yes, we are. So we've kind of seen some things happening in bourbon the last decade or so. We've seen it go from lows of the to the highest of the highs, and we don't even know what's going on. There's a whole group of people that are saying it's over, it's crashed, it's done, goodbye bourbon. There's other people that are like, nah, this thing's still going, it's got legs, we got many more years of growth ahead of us. I don't know. So to look 25 years out now, it takes it far beyond what those folks are talking. And what do we think bourbon could potentially look like at that point in time?
If history repeats itself in bourbon, and if you go through the history, it does to a degree. Obviously, technology helps speed up certain things, but overall, you have the rise of bourbon, the highs, and then you have the low of prohibition, and then you have the rise back up of the 40s, 50s, into the 60s, and then you have the lows, and then you have the rise up in the, call it the late 2000s, early 2010, whatever that time frame. So, and along those time frames, the one thing that was very constant was companies come, companies go, distilleries come. Now, there are some exceptions to the rule, but in general, you see a lot of flux in ownership. You see a lot of flux in brands. You see a lot of flux in capacity. We've got too much on hand. Here comes our 12-year, 15-year, 18-year, 20, 25-year special offerings. So I think the one thing this industry has shown us that it tends to some degree to repeat its cycle. So 25 years from now, I expect there's so many new distilleries that have been built in the last, 8 years or so, give or take. Some a little older, but in the last 8+ years, and a lot of new labels. At some point, I think we may go through a little bit of a 5 to 8 year slowdown downturn, and then I think it'll rise back up again. And during that process, I think you're going to see some of the small guys continue to be sold out or bought up by the big guys, and we may end up with another round of the big 4, big 5, big 6 kind of thing in the future. the history suggests that some of that will happen. Now, it could go totally in a different direction, but that's kind of what I think. There's enough history out there to show that it's poised to have some of that activity happen.
Yeah. I do differ from Wes in that I agree that it is cyclical, and I agree that bourbon is at very high right now, and does it have a potential to go up more? A little bit. But could it fall? Yes. But I don't think it's going to hit the lows, the doldrums we saw in the late 70s, throughout the 80s, into the 90s. I just don't think we have that, because the difference now is we have infrastructure. We now have places to go and things like that. Bourbon is not just a drink anymore. It's a lifestyle. It's, hey, I go to bourbon dinners and bourbon events, and I go meet master distillers, and, I do, travel around bourbon and stuff like that. Not just Kentucky. I want to go to Colorado and see the distilleries there. So I think it's just different now, and it's almost like wine in this country. I mean, is wine at its hottest point? No, but California wine country is still a thing. It's still a place where people go and visit, despite the fact it's not the hottest thing going. It's still a destination, and I think that because we still have Kentucky as a destination, I think that it's a little bit different now versus in the past, when it's just like, hey, I'm switching to a different drink, so I'm going to go to clear spirits now. That just shuts bourbon out. But there's other ways bourbon can stay relevant, even if it's not the sexiest thing going right now.
I will add one other thing. I think it's going to happen. I think robots will replace bartenders.
that could happen.
Robots will replace bartenders. So.
That could happen.
I think something that's different now than the last downturn, though, is the birth of craft, and the fact that craft has taken off and is 75% better than the big guys are, and they're innovating and bringing new stuff, and hopefully, I mean, I would like to see it that the craft world pushes the bourbon hunting, the exorbitant secondary market stuff, just pushes it by the wayside, and that becomes like a separate, group of people that, that's all they're doing. And it's kind of that way now almost. You see it a lot, I think, at the shop, Steve. People come in and they're looking for something, and they sit down and they try some stuff and they start buying stuff, and they're like, I used to chase after this crap all the time, and I was running all over the state trying, at every liquor store I could find to go to look for, a Weller 107, and I can get this here for half the price and it's way better.
Yeah.
So, and I think there'll be, with the amount of new distilleries that have come on board, and these large producing distillers like Bardstown and Green River, that they're pumping so much juice out that I think we will have an influx, and may have some of that. We got to get rid of some 12-year-old stuff in 15 years, because they've flooded.
Sure. I mean, I think we're already seeing that. I mean, that's already hitting the market in terms of that. But yeah, I think you do bring up some good points there for sure. I think that we're with you can always look to beer, and even Beka, being quite a bit younger than anybody else on here, she's not so young that she can't remember a time when craft beer was the biggest thing going, and really and there was a changing of the guard really at some point, where it went from the big heritage breweries running things and setting the tone, and again kind of plucking from the craft like we see heritage bourbon do now. They finishing wasn't the thing started at the heritage level. That started at the craft level. So but at some point craft beer became running the show. I mean, nobody cares about the big heritage breweries anymore. I mean, that's just for the guy who's cutting grass and stuff like that, right? That's what the beer industry is these days. It's all the craft brands. Bourbon isn't that way. I think bourbon is still controlled and dominated by the big guys. And, whether it's the fact that the most bourbon comes out of Kentucky, and the most of that bourbon is coming from, 6 different distilleries. I mean, and so I think that it's just a little bit different. I think at some point, though, I think the craft will become really kind of in charge and the leaders. And again, people will be chasing that stuff probably. So, So there's plenty of growth there and opportunities, I think, for bourbon to stay relevant as people begin looking and seeking more and more craft. And that's what we do at the Barrel Shop. We're all about finding the best whiskey in the world. And not everybody believes us, but the ones that come and sit down at the bar, like Jim was saying, and taste through some stuff, find that there are better things out there than, 6 distilleries in Kentucky. So
I think the other thing that kind of piggybacks off of that is there is, so much more, so many more options out there. It used to be you had Kentucky bourbon and you had, Tennessee whiskey, and everything was kind of, the same, air quote, the same. And now there's so much stuff going on with finishing and blending, and you've got that whole, you go into a craft brewery and they've got 15 different kinds of beer. You go to your local bar, there was Bud and Bud Light, and that was what they had. And now you've got so many different choices that you're bringing more people into bourbon because you have so many different flavor profiles that are available.
Yeah. What do you think, Bo? What do you think about where this industry might go in the next 25 years?
I think, to add on to what you said, there's an infrastructure now, meaning there's some direction that the Kentucky Distillers Association has given and for tourism and whatnot. But I think another piece to that puzzle is now we have something that we've never had before. And I do think, like what Wes said, I do think it's cyclical, and I think those cycles will continue. But I think what we have now that we've never had before is we have social media, and everybody has a voice in it. And I think it could be argued that, during Prohibition and during the 80s and 90s when bourbon was in a bust, you didn't, or when it was in its peaks, you didn't have people, they didn't care. They didn't, like my great grandfather didn't care about the mash bill or the recipe or the distillery, or they didn't care about that stuff. And now people care about all that stuff to the point that, I'll sit and listen to podcasts or watch videos or whatever all day long about bourbon, how it was made, the history of it, the science of it, all this kind of stuff. And I don't think that's ever been a part of the past. And so I think that in itself will help sustain it. I do think, I think we're seeing a lot of this now, but I do think, the non-distillers, the people, the rectifiers, whatever you want to call them, that don't really distill, but they just kind of do a little bit of added value. I think you'll see that more of that go away. And I think people are, enough into it now that they want to see, Neely Family Distillery makes their own stuff. They age their own stuff. They bottle their own stuff. They want to see more of that kind of stuff. But I think we'll see that go away. But I do think it'll sustain better than it has in the past, even though the cyclical things will, those are still there. But I think it'll sustain.
I think there's always some cyclical, and people are, whether it's, movie comes out and someone's drinking like James Bond back in the day gets people on to white spirits and stuff like that. That stuff's always going to happen, but I don't think it's going to be as impactful as the past. But that's just my guess for the looking ahead in the crystal ball. How about you, Miss Beka Sue? What do you think?
Do we think that master distillers will become obsolete from robots?
I hope not. I hope that I like the people being involved in the artistry that they bring. I get it. In some ways, machines are better, but there's something that's just missing, something unique that they can't bring. I saw that there's a whole blind tasting thing where they're pitting people versus machines, and the machines aren't getting to taste it. They just get the specs. They get they run it through the spectrometer and they give them that data, and then it's able to tell, what style of whiskey it is and all that. And it's like, they can do that better than people. I get it. Machines can do some things better than people, but there's that X factor that Royce Neely adds to the equation, or a Freddie No, or whoever you want to say that can't be replicated. And I don't want American whiskey to miss that, because then I think we turn into all the same. I think it's you get machines doing all of it. Next thing you know, everything's vanilla.
Which distillery do you think will be the first one to have holographic tour guides of distillers from the past will guide you through the distillery?
Something with Diageo, maybe. They've got the money and infrastructure, and everything's kind of technology and future oriented with those guys anyway. I mean, some of the things they do with their carbon neutral distilleries and stuff. I'm not ripping on them. I'm saying that they could be the first to do something like that. Maybe.
I'd say Buffalo Trace.
Really?
Yeah. Lots of history there.
There's lots of history there.
There's lots of people they could use, historical figures.
Right. Lenny was at the ABV Barrel Shop just over a week ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, something like that. I don't know. Not 6 weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago, maybe. It was not that long ago, and he had a great quote. He said, "You know what? I don't care if if whether it's bourbon or American rye or single malt or my stuff or someone else's stuff, but God damn it!" And I loved how he emphasized, the goddamn. But God damn it, drink American stuff. I mean, Americans are dumb. Why do they want to chase the next great thing, the next great rum? Let's make it rum, or let's make it tequila. Continue to make it a product that's made here. That's important. And I agree with that. I think that should play into it. But there should be some pride in your country, and that's what you should drink.
Tariffs, we might only be able to get some stuff that we can drink here, or that's made here.
Right.
Yeah.
So who knows? But I do think that there can be something said for that. The fact that bourbon is America's native spirit, and I think that we're all invested in it because whether we even drink it or not, even if you're not a drinker of it, there's things that I don't care about. I mean, I don't care about sports, but when it comes down to it, I want the St. Louis teams to win. I don't watch the games or anything like that, but if the Cardinals would be in the playoffs, I'm rooting for them to win the World Series, or the Blues, the Stanley Cup. So that's just, and I think the same thing should be done with bourbon. We should take care of it because it's all jobs in America, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah,
America.
I don't think it's going anywhere.
Good.
No, I don't think it's going.
All right. Well, we'll wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Jim, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
You can find me on the Book of Faces at Jim Gokin.
Bo.
I'm on social media under Bourbon Sasquatch and also under my journey through the American spirits.
Wes.
Instagram bourbon_Wes.
Miss Beka Sue.
You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Miss Beka Sue, 1K, no C's.
All right, for me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got the company website. That thing's abvnetwork.com. Check it out. Everything that we do is out there. Previous shows, blogs, so much more. abvnetwork.com. Come by and see me, the ABV Barrel Shop, the place where you can try before you buy. We're online, abvbarrelshop.com. Miss Beka Sue, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I'd just like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review that includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. If you like what we're doing, we ask you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
Great job today, gang. For audience, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
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 Adios.
Before we let you go, let's talk about one last thing. The ABV Barrel Shop in the St. Louis community of Arnold, Missouri. The ABV Barrel Shop is focused on a couple of things. First of all, single barrels. We are the place where single barrels live. We go to distilleries, taste through the whiskey, select the best barrel, and have it shipped to our store where we present it to you, our customers, by allowing you to try before you buy. We're also known for the classes that we have in our education center in the store, as well as the events we have with industry professionals from the bourbon business. If you are in the St. Louis area, please come by and visit us at 6 Fox Valley Center in Arnold, Missouri. Or at a minimum, at least sign up for our email and text distribution so you know exactly what's going on in our shop over at abvbarrelshop.com. This is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network, signing off. We thank you for listening to our programming and truly appreciate your support.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.